All right, let's do a show. Welcome in to Inside Coverage, everybody. A Wednesday heading in to week number 4. Wednesday, the day where every coach and every quarterback on the podium. Wednesday is the day when we get an injury report. Wednesday is the day when we truly dive in to the next week of games. Coming up, we break some news to Buccaneers legend Mike Alstott. You want to see that. Bucs, Eagles. Playoff rematch, unlike any other. Huge one coming up here in week 4. A lot of good games on the calendar for week number 4, or the schedule, or the docket. I mean, who the heck says docket other than sportscasters? Does anyone actually say it? This is the how and the why, by the way. Inside Coverage. If you're listening on Podform, like and share and tell your friends about it. If you're watching on YouTube TV or the Yahoo app or Yahoo Sports.tv, we thank you. And now you're seeing on your screen, hi, I'm Andrew and Frank Schwab, because Charles Robinson, after the Guardians rallied and beat Tarek Skubal yesterday, did not want to be here. We respect
Had to get
it.
that in, didn't you?
He is in mourning. At least the Tigers are not out of it yet. It's okay. And those words will probably come back to haunt me. But Frank Schwab, it's great to have you, my friend. Have you ever used the word docket in any other context other than sports scheduling or that day where you had to go to court?
The other one is slate. What's on the slate for week 4? Like, what are we doing? Like today? Carving this into the tablets or something? Yes. Like that's a ridiculous term, but I use it all the time. So I go with slate. I do not use docket or queue. Would that be? Nah, queue probably wouldn't even be right. But
Q,
regardless,
the
we'll just
okay.
go schedule.
Is it all right? Docket is such a sportscaster word. We should do an entire show on sportscaster words that you don't use in everyday life.
Nobody uses in real life. Yes,
most people don't.
It'd be longer than an hour.
Yeah, like most people don't use mindset. Yet if you played the drinking game for sports reporters asking players and coaches a question with the word mindset in it, you would be an alcoholic. What's your mindset? Like, no one else is going to use that or that word in a day-to-day context. They just don't.
Another one, Andrew, is as Bobby Knight back in the day famously joked about, game face. Nobody uses game. What is that? What? Bobby Knight made fun of that in a very, very humorous way back in the day. But yes, there are many things that we fall into the traps of using that you're not going to the grocery store and use a game face, right? Like that just doesn't work.
The one that gets me, I promise, is my last one. Actually, all of them annoy me. But the one that always gets me from a football context is signal caller. Okay? Now, a quarterback calls signals, and for somebody who calls play-by-play, every now and then you want to mix it up. But normal people don't use that in everyday conversation. It's a sportscaster word. Like, it's okay to say quarterback multiple times in a sentence. It really is. But people broadcasters use the words or the phrase signal
field general. Like, have you ever used field general, Andrew?
Field general. Have you ever been in a bar? Okay. Have you ever been in a bar? Like, you live in Colorado. Okay. Yeah. Have you ever overheard in a bar in Colorado? Let me tell you something. I really think the Broncos are going to do well this year, because this is the first time really since Peyton Manning that they've had a signal caller.
Field general. That Bo Nix is a heck of a field general, wouldn't you say? Like, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah. He's a heck of a signal caller.
Do you use
others have called one, signals, but he calls one that as well. Good.
I have tried. I guess I've incorporated it now because I feel a little bit hip, even though it's not really anymore. QB1. Do you use QB1 instead of starting quarterback?
I'm working it in a little bit. I don't do it much. To me, it kind of started in the fantasy world.
I think it was Friday Night Lights,
kind of
though,
moved
wasn't
to
it?
the everyday vernacular. Was it?
I think Friday Night Lights. I seem to Friday Night Lights, the TV show at least, used QB1 a lot, and that kind of caught on, which is kind of cool, I guess. But QB1 is a lot cooler than field general or signal caller. Let's put it that way.
We've totally gone off on a tangent before we even open the show. We could do an entire different show one of these days on the fact that I don't watch sports movies.
What? None.
Take it back. I watch
not
sports
a major
movies.
league.
I generally don't like them. I generally don't
Sunday.
like it.
I get it. I understand it, but I still watch them and then just complain about how fake they are in many ways.
That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Like Newsroom.
We're nerds. We are such
Newsroom.
nerds, Andrew.
It's a great show, but I can't, like, after, like, it's just, there's so many little things about working in television. And Madison, our producer, I guarantee you the same thing. Like, you can't watch Newsroom. Like, it's fun, and the dialogue, and Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, but there's so many little things where you work in television and go, that's not real. It doesn't happen that way. Anyway, you want to talk about football?
Why not?
Okay, let's talk about football. Micah Parsons is coming back to Dallas this week. If you haven't heard, the Packers are not going undefeated. They're 2-1. The Cowboys are struggling. They can't stop anybody. They are 0-3. So Brian Schottenheimer, who I love, I've said this before, and I think he's handled everything with Micah, and he said everything on the podium the right way, was asked today about the defense and would it be better. Actually, the question from Calvin Watkins was, what do you say to the people that say, well, with Micah Parsons, our defense would be a lot better?
What would you say to when people say, without him, your defense has not been the same? It's not been as good.
I would say that, we have not been playing to the standard we want to play to, but if we had Micah, you can't predict that we'd be playing any better. You can't predict we'd be playing any better, any worse. Are you 3-0? Are you 0-3? You don't know. I mean, those are projections. So, again, we're focused on the things that we need to get better at. We realize we got to get more pressure on the quarterback, but we also have to cover and communicate better. And
yeah, all those things are true. And I love how he pulled the Russ Salzberg.
I don't know if all of
them
are true, Andrew. I don't know if all of them are true.
They're
I
true,
think you can predict that their defense would be better.
Yes, please. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, my point was, it was true in the back end that they need to communicate and they need to do a bunch of other things better as well. But the fact is, the Cowboys have allowed 92 points through 3 games. They have allowed 5 touchdowns of 25 yards or more. 5. That's absurd. They are allowing 53.7% conversion rate on third down. And they are doing it playing that Matt Eberflus zone 93% of the time. And when you play zone and can't rush the passer without Micah Parsons, it is deadly. So I want to say, Shotty, you're handling it the right way. And I get it. You're trying to say the right things. And I'm not going to knock you for you. But yes, Frank, you are right. Obviously, they would be better with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, when you're a zone-heavy defense, you are relying on the pass rush to get home after a couple seconds. If you let the quarterback sit back there all day, he will find holes in your zone. Like that. That's how it works. That's how the NFL works. So, I made fun there because there's nothing Schottenheimer can say that's the perfect answer. If he says, well, of course we'd be better on defense if we had Micah Parsons. He's a generational player. Well, you've just thrown your boss under the bus, Jerry Jones. You've probably upset the players you're trying to coach who are on defense, saying, well, yeah, we need better players than the one. So I get it. There's nothing Shotty can say that's going to make that right. But if we're being honest, yes, I can predict that if Micah Parsons was on that defense, they would be better. I'm prone to hyperbole once in a while, Andrew, so I'll just say it. You could push back. The Cowboys look like one of the worst defenses we've seen this millennium. Like, it is
statistically
scary.
Awful.
Scary how bad they are after 3 games. And you consider the competition too. It's not like they're playing like, oh, they got Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen back-to-back weeks. No, they played Russell Wilson. And Caleb Williams was struggling before he played the Cowboys. And I don't even know what happened week 1 against the Eagles, because the Eagles couldn't do anything against that defense, but the last 2 opponents have. This is a bad defense. And it makes it worse with Micah Parsons coming back to town because the Cowboys are struggling. They don't look good. They're big underdogs in this game. If the Packers get up on them, if they're up, if the Cowboys give up 35 points, that home crowd ain't going to be happy. Like that home crowd, like the Packers have kind of turned this "Thank you, Jerry" chant into something fun for them. It might be a sarcastic "Thank you, Jerry" from the Cowboys fans, right? Like it's just not the week you want to be answering Micah Parsons questions when your defense is playing this bad.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to pile on. The Packers, even without Micah Parsons, put Micah back on the Cowboys. The Packers have more talent on their defense than the Cowboys do. You want to take Micah out of both of these buildings, put Mike on the Seahawks. I don't care. Put him on the Dolphins. I don't care. Let's pretend he's not on either of these two teams. The Packers are a more talented defensive starting 11 than the Dallas Cowboys right now without Micah Parsons as part of the equation. But if you look at some of the numbers, and the numbers are glaring. First of all, if you look at PFF, if you pay attention to those grades, the Cowboys had the second worst run grade for team defense run grade in the entire National Football League. They're better with Kenny Clark on the field than without, but Kenny Clark was supposed to be the big key to this with stopping the run. Let's look at rankings. Points per game allowed, defense here. Packers first in the league, Cowboys 27th in the league. Yards per play allowed. Packers first in the league, Cowboys next to last in the league. Passing yards per attempt, Packers first, Cowboys last. Sacks, Packers 5th, Cowboys 28th. And Jordan Love is great against the zone. I hate to break it to you. Jordan Love nearly 10 yards an attempt against zone this year, which is what Matt Eberflus does, and that's best in the NFL. Now, I found it interesting today, Frank, that Shoddy said that he has talked to Matt Eberflus about simplifying things today, which is very odd. That's coach speak in September for simplifying it. But coaches often use that phrase when they know it's not working, and it's a cliche to me, right? Hey, we're going to simplify things this week. Okay. Now, in some cases, you actually are. You're trimming the playbook down. That's what the Ravens did last year with Zach Orr as a first-time coordinator. But the idea that Matt Eberflus, a well-traveled defensive coordinator, needs to simplify things for this defense is a massive red flag.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it kind of gets back to playing so much zone, and that requires a lot of communication, requires continuity. And they've had guys in and out of the lineup. Durham Bland has been out, and other guys have been banged up. So you get to the point where you're just blowing assignments. And you can see that. If you've watched the Cowboys this year, you know they're blowing assignments. They're out of position. Like they're just not a well-functioning defense at this point. So yes, I do think simplifying is kind of code for we need to make this so we're not just out there and guys are running around free in our secondary as they have been. It's just been a mess so far. And that's, again, it's expected from a first-year coordinator at some point, and it's also expected when you trade. Like, I'm sure at some point in the offseason, Matt Eberflus built this whole defense around the idea that Micah Parsons was going to be there, right?
Definitely.
Like, and Jerry could say, like, oh, yeah, we knew this trade was going to happen. I don't know the conversations between Matt Eberflus, Brian Schottenheimer, Jerry Jones, whatever. But at some point, Matt Eberflus was probably like, I have this superstar defensive player. That's my defense. A week before the season, it's like, oh, no, you don't have him anymore, but here's Kenny Clark. Like so everything changed. Everything changed. It's hard to adjust to that. But even that said, the communication, the assignment, the sound ability of the Cowboys defense has just been terrible. That's why they're giving, I don't think it's a talent issue. You're right. The Packers have much more talent on defense. But I think the Cowboys are not barren of talent. I think they do have some good players over on that side. But just the communication, the blown assignment's just been awful. It's been their undoing so far. And it gives me a little bit of hope that the Cowboys can get better on defense than what they've been, because that kind of stuff you can fix. You can't fix not having talent. They do have some talent. But when you don't have a Micah Parsons, like I hate to bang that drum again, but it's just obvious. It's the elephant in the room. Like, you took Micah Parsons off of the Cowboys defense. It is not going to be good. Like, that's just how it goes. He's that good of a player.
And it's a realization, and we did know this from day one, that this is a long-term move, not a short-term move, period, at least from a Cowboys perspective. Short-term, certainly, for the Packers. Let's hear from Micah, because he spoke today in the Packers locker room. There's been a lot of online chatter. It's a great talk show topic, about the idea that the Cowboys are not going to have a video tribute for Micah when he comes back on Sunday night. Here's what he had to say.
No, there's a lot of things I can consider disrespectful throughout this process, but I wouldn't say the tribute is one of them. I would say, I just think, there's hard feelings maybe there for them, but, for me, I'm happy where I'm at, and we got a really good football team, so I guess I can live you my tribute and a win, I hope.
Frank, I don't know about you, but I think this is just a big red herring. I think this is a screaming head on TV show topic here. He was there 4 years. He's not getting a statue. He was a great player for 4 years. The no video tribute thing to me is a big nothing burger.
Pretty much. I think there was a decision made though. Like you could have, you could have just done the easy thing. I think the easy thing would have been to make a short minute-long video of Micah Parsons highlights, which are plentiful. Like even in 4 years, he was a heck of a player for them, a star for them, even in 4 years. And then this doesn't come up. Like you do the classy thing. You take the high road. There's a decision made. We're not going to do this. And I don't know that it's disrespectful. I wouldn't go that far at all, but I do think maybe there's some hard feelings here. Like Micah said, there might be some hard feelings on that side. I think that might be true. Like, why not? Why not do the video tribute? I don't think it's a big deal, but yet there was a decision made. Like Jerry Jones or whoever is in charge of that made the decision. No, we're not doing a video tribute to him. So I don't necessarily buy the whole, he was only here 4 years. I get that. It's not Tony Gonzalez coming back to Kansas City where he played for however many years. It was a short-term thing, but yeah, a decision was made. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a decision was made, and I don't disagree with it, I guess is my point. A decision was made as well in New York today, and that is, it's official now. Jackson Dart is the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. Brian Daboll said repeatedly, this is my decision and my decision alone. Okay, I believe him, maybe. And that Jackson Dart is the starter for the rest of the season. Now, it is a bit surprising that Russell Wilson's going to be the number 2, not the number 3. Jameis remains the number 3. I thought that might be flipped, and there were some indications, some early reports out of the building that Russell would be demoted to 3. That's not the case. He is the number 2. Also today, Russell Wilson was adamant that he is not done with football.
You know, I think for me personally, you know, as well as I'm not done. I got so much belief in myself and know what I'm capable of. I believe I was able to show it, especially, you know, on the road in Dallas and everything else. I know that can help this football team, you know, if that comes up. But, you know, I think also too, just for me mentally, you know, just have the best practice. You know, have the best workout session in the morning, early in the morning. You know, getting here and having the same routine and just find every single way to get better. That's what you can control. And, you know, you control your attitude, you control your gratitude. And those two things, you know, are important to me because I love the game, I love the process, and I respect it. And so, you know, that's the only thing I know. And I think the last thing I'd say about it is just life is about response. You know, I went to the Children's Hospital on Tuesday, and, you know, when you go and you see kids fighting for something that is maybe outside of what they can handle at times, it gives you a lot of perspective, you know. So for me, it's about life is about response, and I just I know I'm gonna respond in every way, in the right way, every day, and that's all I know.
There's a lot there, a lot of self-help stuff there, Frank, that I actually agree with. It's the old Mel Robbins, let them do what they want to do. I can only control my reaction, and it's about attitude and gratitude. A lot of that stuff I respect. But I also know that Russell, if you go back to last year with the Steelers and you include the playoff loss, has lost 8 consecutive starts. I know, it's a team game, but his team, the Steelers and Giants, have lost 8 consecutive games in which he was the starting quarterback. Now, week 2, he looked good. He threw for 450, had a passer rating over 100. He has played some good football in those 8 starts. But I think it's over. So the question for you, I think he's going to play another game again, but will he start another game again in the NFL, assuming Jackson Dart stays healthy?
And that's the thing. I'll put the caveat that I don't think a team voluntarily starts Russell Wilson. They might be in a bind. Like he might be a backup on somebody's roster next year and the starter gets hurt or whatever happens. And I don't take any glee in this, Andrew. Like, look, a lot of people roll their eyes at Russell Wilson. A lot of people, for lack of a better term, bully him, especially I think in the NFL media landscape. He's so easy kind of to make fun of, and I don't want to do that. Like, I'm sure even what he said today, that's genuinely Russell Wilson. And we can say whatever we want, but he legitimately, Jory's written about this, great story about this. He legitimately has this positive attitude, which we all could use a little bit more of, let's be honest. I don't fault him for that. I don't take any glee in the fact that Russell Wilson has played so poorly. I like Russell Wilson. I thought he was awesome with the Seahawks. I I don't want to pile on him for some of the stuff we could call him corny or that he does this or that. You roll your eyes. He's the best quarterback my alma mater is ever going to produce in the NFL, Wisconsin. So I've been watching it for many, many years. This isn't a victory lap where I'm like, wow, good, Russell Wilson's getting benched. I thought he should have been benched because I just think Jackson Dart is the better quarterback for the Giants now and in the future. But yes, I just think the gas tank is on E for Russell Wilson, and that stinks. He's been such a fun player, such an exciting player, had that great run with the Seahawks, but I don't see, like, I'm based in Colorado. I saw it just deteriorate here in Denver. He goes to the Steelers, has a couple good games right away with the Steelers, but then it deteriorated there. He just has nothing left for the Giants. I don't think he's anybody's voluntary starter the rest of his career. He might get a start, might play some games, but not because his team is like, yes, let's start Russell Wilson week 1. I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
Yeah, I think it would require an injury. And, there's a headline here that says Russell Wilson won't ask for his release or ask to be traded. That's fine. I'm curious if he's going to keep that stance if and when the inevitable quarterback injury around the league. There's already been, 5 teams that needed a new starter. None of them out for the season with the possible exception of Burrow. But if there is a catastrophic injury somewhere else, I'm curious if a back channel conversation is had and Russell does ask for his release. But at this point, no, it serves him no purpose to say, release me. Then that positive attitude actually gets flipped upside down, and then he can be painted as the malcontent or somebody who is out of touch with the reality of not only his game, but his future. So I'm with you. There have been at times where I've been skeptical, like, hello, like, is the real Russell in there? Like, we'd love to see some negative emotion. You're a human being, right? You're not a robot. Right. You're not an android from Westworld. Like, you're not an AI bot. Like, you're actually a real person. We'd love to see you show any shade of negativity or disappointment or anything. And he won't. It's just how he's wired.
Just not who he is.
From the day I met him, which is at the rookie symposium when he came out before he ever played his first game, he has been that same guy. And there have been articles written over the years like, you must crack, you must bleed. Do you ever go home and scream at the kids? And I don't suggest you need to, but you know what I'm saying? Like, is there anything, is there anything in there that shows you're anything other than positive? Yes, I'm sure he's had those moments, but no, that's how he has gotten here. And you know what? I actually respect him a lot for it, but I don't know that he has any more starts in there aside from necessity or desperation for any other NFL team, which might be the Giants. Oh, by the way, in a week or 2 or 5. Yeah. Coming up, Mike Alstott. Is he a Hall of Famer? And what does he think about Baker Mayfield and this edition of the Buccaneers? Could they be looking at the franchise's 3rd Super Bowl victory? It's Frank, it's Andrew, it's the great fullback Mike Alstott coming up next on Inside Coverage. All right, this is a treat here on Inside Coverage. Love having this guy on. He probably loves his Buccaneers are rolling as well. Just nominated yet again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame just minutes ago as we sit down to record this here on a Wednesday ahead of Week 4. Buccaneer legend, Indiana high school legend, Mike Alstott. Good to see you.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
It's a great day. The sun is shining.
Yeah, sun is shining, and we're all breathing, and we're all looking forward to another week of football. You are working here today for Old Spice. You are at River Ridge High School in Florida. We'll get to that in a second, I promise. Want to ask you about your Bucs. The idea that they're 3-0, I think, is only half the story. The idea of how they won the games,
right?
The idea that they've had to march down the field to win all 3 of them. Mike, what does that do for a team when you pull it out of the fire week in, week out?
Well, first of all, it gives the Bucs confidence, because going from week 2 to week 3, the line was decimated pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Free agent, and then a practice squad guy playing, and then you don't have your best guy in there either, right? Worth, and then but you always had the chance with Baker, and I'm loving it. You know what I mean? Don't give Baker any reason to do it again, right? So it's just their confidence are high right now, and they're playing well with kind of like next man up mentality, and I love it.
Yeah, I loved. Well, Let's break down Baker's motivation last week. He said at the end of the game that, the guy over there cut me in Carolina, Steve Wilkes, who's the DC there for Aaron Glenn for the Jets. But at the same time, I'm thinking this morning, Mike, but if he hadn't cut him, he doesn't get to LA. He doesn't end up in Tampa. Like, it's all part of the journey here. Like, we all need something to motivate us week in, week out. But that was a blessing for him as well.
Yeah, I know. It's a blessing to have Baker here, and we're glad that his journey was rough and rocky throughout the first part of it, or until he got to Tampa, because he is the typical, Tampa player, right? For this community, they love the getter-doners, right? Tampa and the Bay is freaking, and what he's doing, and he's just, I know Baker, and just players love playing for him. The community loves watching him. The city, everybody. It's just he's just rocking, man. He's just rocking. But the best thing about it is he's just having fun too, right? He's just going out there doing his thing, making plays with his feet, getting flipped on his head. You know what I mean? Whatever it takes. You know what I mean? And I think that's what everybody loves. Whatever it takes, and he's doing it.
And I think there's something as well, Mike. Tell me if I'm wrong. How he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I don't want to make this a media conversation, all right? The Bucs have made the playoffs 5 straight years, going back to winning the Super Bowl with Tom. There is still this idea that, they're the good team in the bad division, right? We're not going to take them that seriously. They're that good team in that division that's kind of whatever. But that kind of it all goes in a circle because it all kind of feeds Baker, and it all kind of works into that mentality that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta beat us twice last year, right? And, we kind of struggled in that situation. But, you still got to play the other games, the other 8 games, that in those conferences. And then it is what it is. And people can say what they want. It's just like, hey, we're winning games. We're coming back. We're marching down the field and either scoring a touchdown like 2 weeks ago or kicking a field goal, right? After a terrible situation. What teams would have folded after you have a blocked field goal, return to the house, right? Touchdown. They go up, and you have a minute and 50 seconds or something like that left, and it's like that, and it's like, that's just championship football. I think the will of getting it done. You know what I mean, and coming together and breaking the huddle and being everybody on the same page. It's just great football. I just, being in the huddle and being in those situations, it either breaks you or makes you, right? Especially when adversity hits you in the face. And it's so great to see that, so early in the season, adversity has hit Bucs in the face in all 3 games, right? And they've come back and victorious.
All right, Mike, let's talk about you. Mike Alstott here with us on Inside Coverage on behalf of Old Spice. You were once again nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this morning. You and Warwick Dunn, who shared a backfield together.
You're the first guy to let me know that.
Okay, well, so there you go. We're breaking news, Mike. You're on the Hall of Fame list yet again. We know Lynch is in, Sapp is in, Brooks in, Rondé's in. We got to get somebody on your side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. But there's really never been a modern fullback. I don't want to pigeonhole you. I mean, there are a couple of years you had 200 carries. You were more than just a fullback. You were a tailback as well. But you're listed as a fullback. Like Jim Brown was listed as a fullback. Jim Taylor, it's a different era in football. They played in black and white. Fullback meant running back. They did a different thing. Right. Why isn't there a modern fullback in the Hall of Fame?
Good question. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I really don't. I mean, it's just saddening a little bit. The position is totally, 90% of the league doesn't use it, right? They rather go to the H-back and move the tight end across and do stuff like that, whatever. But I don't know. I'm just, all I can say is I was blessed to play in the year I did. I don't know if I'd be probably playing football if now in this era, right? There maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much people, at least seems like a lot of people want to go to the more scat back type of situation nowadays, rather than having both parties involved. Kind of like Warwick and I combination we've had for the 5 years that we played together. But I don't know. It's a good question. I just hope someday that I'm able to represent my family and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and stand at that podium.
Yeah, it would be phenomenal there to see you up there with a gold jacket or work done for that matter, or both of you for that matter, as you get a couple of more Buccaneers potentially. Confidence goes a long way. You were always a confident player. This Buccaneers team, certainly with that quarterback, is a confident team here as well, out of the gates at 3-0. Mike Alstott, nominee for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. Congratulations on that, my friend, and great to talk to you.
So cool. I get goosebumps, man. If there's one thing, though, I just want the book to be closed and get that final chapter in it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, would love to see it, man. Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate that.
All right, so pretty cool. We taped that, Frank, this morning, and the list had come out maybe 10 minutes before we sat down. Mike Alstott legitimately didn't know.
That's really cool.
But he's not unlike a lot of guys who have gone through this process, the Hall of Fame process. It is for so long. You just want it to be over. And that emotion came through. I thought it was pretty cool. I want to get back to the Hall in a second. Let's talk about the Bucs, because a lot of what he said, I think, really hit home just for Baker, finding that home. He's like that Tampa guy. But this team, I don't think is viewed as a legit championship contender. I know you have said you think they are, but with them and the Eagles, I mean, they have the longest playoff streaks going. It's them and the Eagles in the NFC.
I don't understand why the Bucs don't get more respect, and maybe it's just because of the Baker factor, where everybody gave up on him. Heck, the Browns gave up on him. Panthers gave up on him. I mean, it's not just people watching the game. It's actual teams giving up on Baker Mayfield. So I think maybe there's a mental block there of, can this guy really be a Super Bowl type of quarterback? But you look at last year, this is one of the reasons I like the Bucs coming into the year. They beat the brakes off of the Eagles, the one team that really took it to the Eagles last year. They won at Detroit. They should have won at Kansas City. I think Todd Bowles should have gone for 2, and probably he would admit that today. They can compete with the best teams in the NFL, and you look at some of their top-end talent, and it rivals anybody as far as number of blue-chip players. They're really banged up. They're really banged up, Andrew. They have a ton of injuries, especially on their offensive line. Mike Evans now with the hamstring. Can't see out their defensive line. They keep winning games. I think this team has a lot of heart, and I think that kind of reflects on Baker. He's one of those guys, we can name him. And I'm not saying he's John Elway or Brett Favre as far as the talent level or what he's done in his career. But when there's a minute left to go in the game, his heartbeat is really slow. It's just like he's built for that moment. And they've come up with 3 wins in the last 2 minutes. They're 3-0 with a point differential of +6, which is kind of crazy. Usually I am against those type of teams because I'm like, that's fluky. That's going to turn. But with this team, they're going to get healthier, and they just know how to win. And I like that about them. I think this Buccaneers team, starting 3-0, have positioned themselves really, really well. Like they're going to get better as the season goes along, and you've already pocketed those 3 wins. It's a great start for the Buccaneers, I think, so far, other than the injuries.
And I think, and Mike kind of went there as well. The idea that these 3 comeback wins come weeks 1, 2, and 3, when they're facing something like that in week 10 or week 12 or week 14, right? It's already in their DNA. They know how to do this. They've been down this road before, and it isn't just the quarterback. And yes, I agree with you. Baker has that gene, but the rest of the team learns how to do it. Without Mike Evans, it's going to be a challenge. But they faced that challenge last year. They still don't have Godwin back. They faced that challenge last year. Micah is right now the leader in the clubhouse for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but Quinshon Judkins has come on well these last 2 games for Cleveland. It is very early to be talking awards, but they have drafted well, and they have overcome their injuries in years past. Those offensive line injuries, though, are significant, especially this week against the Eagles, with the Eagles' ability to not only rush the passer, but press the middle of the pocket against a shorter quarterback. That does factor. This game, however, is in Tampa. It's going to be hot as Hades. I kind of like the Bucs this week, considering the Bucs have had the Eagles number, at least in the postseason, right? The Eagles had a great second half last week. They did not look good in the first half. They looked human. They look like old Rocky in the first half, to be honest with you, before coming on in the later rounds and knocking the other guy out. So I don't know. I know we're not picking games yet. I'm just saying my gut early in the week has me leaning Baker on the Bucs going 4-0.
Wow. And I do appreciate the Rocky reference. Well done there, Andrew. But I just, here's the thing. The analytical side of me looks at the lineups, looks at the injury report. I think about how is Buccaneers stopping this Eagles pass rush, all that kind of stuff. Who are the healthy receivers for the Buccaneers right now? Sterling Shepard, even Ibuka was limited. He was limited last week though, but still made great catches.
Like he's one-handed touchdowns.
Unbelievable. Like he's an unbelievable rookie right now. I can't come up with an X's and O's reason why the Buccaneers win this game, but I will say this, like I just talked about, this team has a lot of heart. It has a lot. They're not scared of the moment at all. So would it shock me totally if the Buccaneers pull off what is an upset? The Eagles are favored, even on the road. No, because this Buccaneers team, as you alluded to, has just kind of been there. They've done that. There's no moment that's too big for this Bucs team. So I'm interested in this game. I'm interested to see if the Bucs can overcome all these injuries. I don't think they can, to be quite honest, but I also don't want to count them out just because of what they've done already.
Style of play as well for the Eagles offensively is certainly going to factor. Kevin Patullo calling plays in the second half last week as offensive coordinator, first year on the job. 7 completions in the second half against the Rams of 10 or more yards down the field for Jalen Hurts. He only had 2 in the first 2.5 games before that.
Really?
2.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden they unleash him for 7 in the second half. So which Eagles team do we see? Do we see an Eagles team that actually gets A.J. Brown involved and lets him play bully ball? That's been the style that has always been his best. Go back to Tennessee, where it's Ryan Tannehill throwing a slant to A.J. Brown, and he is muscling through your linebackers and safeties and taking it the distance. Last week, he's muscling through corners on the edge. Are they going to get back to bully ball? Are they going to stretch the field at least a little bit? Remember that Devontae Smith's pretty good on the other side as well. Or are they going to lean on the running game, which has not been there as it has been certainly last year, but in the last couple of years. So that is one of the 7 early games. Remember, there's a Dublin game, a Europe game this week as well. That's the first game in the international series. It's at Croke Park in London. In Dublin. It's the Vikings and the Steelers.
Croke Park? That's what it's called?
Wow. In Croke Park in Dublin. 82,500 or 82, roughly 82,000 people can fit in that building. Believe it or not. Want to get back to the Hall of Fame, though, real quick, as mentioned. So Mike Alstott's on the list. Wart Dunn's on the list there from the Buccaneers. We have 13 first-year nominees. Frank, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Alex Smith, Larry Fitzgerald, Olsen and Witten, the tight ends, Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, the running backs, O-lineman, David DeCastro, Marquise Pouncey, and D-lineman, Geno Atkins, Jarrell Casey, linebacker, Thomas Davis. The names that stick out to me that I know are getting in first ballot. I'm gonna go Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald. Yep. Mm-hmm. If Phillip deserves consideration, Witten, Olsen,
I think Witten
deserve consideration. But I know Fitzgerald's getting in. We agree. First year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's one of those presentations where it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Fitzgerald, and you just
Drew Brees.
Like, yeah, easy.
I'm sorry.
Where are you on Rivers?
Drew Brees has.
Where are you with
on who?
Yeah, that's easy. He's top 10 quarterback all time to me. But where are you at with Rivers? Do you think? I'm not even saying first ballot. Do you think Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback?
I think Phillip Rivers is going to end up at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I do. You don't?
And I don't necessarily disagree. He was very, very good for a long time.
I didn't pull up his stats.
I mean,
I'm going to pull up his stats.
It's one of those things where he ranks. I mean, yeah, his stats kind of jump off the page, and he was so consistently good, but yet no MVP award, no Super Bowl appearance. Oh, that they were loaded, absolutely positively loaded in the 2000s, and them not getting over the hump. I think if they would have made a Super Bowl, even if they lose it, if they make a Super Bowl, Phillip Rivers one of those years, I think he walks into the Hall of Fame. It's a little tougher now, but yeah, I think at some point he'll get in. It just might take him 3, 4, 5 tries.
So I'm looking at his numbers here. And honestly, I haven't looked at Phillip Rivers' numbers in a long time. I do think there is something to be said for not only the longevity, but the fact that he was never hurt. I'm looking, the guy never missed a game once he took over to be a full-time starter in 2006. Never.
There was no
06
quarterback.
to 2020.
That's
Never missed the game.
unbelievable. And there was no quarterback in that era who was more willing to take a hit. Like, he would stand in a pocket until the last possible second. He knew he was going to get absolutely cleaned out, and he would stand there and deliver the deep ball. Like, his toughness is very playing through a torn ACL in a playoff game. Like, come on. Like, Rivers was, I loved watching Rivers compete. I just, his Hall of Fame case is a little complicated because he doesn't have that. Drew Brees is easy. Like, he should have won MVP in 09, did win a Super Bowl in 09. He ranks at the top, if not, above everybody else in a lot of key categories. Drew Brees is easy. He's a first ballot guy. Rivers is just a little more complicated.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me give you, and I had not prepared for this, so I'm just doing looking up the stats. So the all-time passing yardage leaders: number 1, Tom Brady, Hall of Fame. Number 2, Drew Brees, we agree, Hall of Fame. Peyton is 3. Favre is 4, already in. Ben is 5. He'll get in, obviously. Aaron Rodgers is 6.
I wouldn't guess that.
Ben is 5. Phillip Rivers is number 7.
7. That's
ahead
wild.
of Matt Ryan, Dan Marino, Matthew Stafford, Eli, John Elway, Warren Moon, Fran Tarkenton. Russell Wilson's 15. And then right behind Russell, and likely will pass him if he gets at least a few more weeks, is Joe Flacco at 16. So while, yes, everything you said about superlatives and playoff victories, I hear you. But yeah, if you just look at the sheer yardage and the longevity and the fact that the guy never got hurt, I think he's going to make it. I do.
Lot to like about his resume, and him as a player and as a person too. He was very entertaining, great to cover, all that kind of stuff. Phillip Rivers, I nothing against that guy. He was a heck of a player.
Which goes a long, long way. All right, coming up next on Inside Coverage, which team did you really like this summer, but now heading into week 4, you have very serious concerns? Plus, we dip our toe in the Thursday night pool. It's the Seahawks, it's the Cardinals to open up week 4. Frank Andrew, Inside Coverage. It's Inside Coverage on Yahoo. I'm Andrew Siciliano. It's me and Frank Schwab today for your dining and dancing pleasure getting into week number 4. There are a lot of teams, Frank, out there. There are 6 winless teams, oh, by the way, and there are 6 teams that are undefeated at 3-0. A lot of teams have disappointed. A lot of our deep analysis and long-term projections that we gave you so confidently during the summer, during training camp, have now fallen flat. But let's phrase it this way heading into a pivotal week 4, because coaches love to break the season up into quarters, even though it is now a 17-game schedule. Which team, Frank, did you go into the season thinking would be really good, but now you think is really in trouble?
Yes, and you could sit here and say, like, oh, it's only September, there's a long way to go. Well, not really. If you're 0-4, 1-3, like, look at the history. It ain't good. It really ain't good. A few teams jump out to me that we could talk about. I still have faith in the Ravens. I still think the Broncos are going to be good. Losing with no time on the clock at the Colts, at the Chargers, not that bad. You don't want to be 1-2, but that's okay. You know what, Andrew, I've made Chiefs fans angry over the years, so I might as well just do it again. I think the Chiefs are in some trouble. I really do. And not because I don't think they're going to be good at some point this season. When you get Rashee Rice back, when you get Xavier Worthy back, your offense looks totally different. I get that. But I've talked about their schedule often. I think they lose to the Ravens on Sunday. So, okay, if I'm right about that, you're 1-3. Play at the Jaguars week 5. That's not a gimme. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but it's not a gimme. And then you play the Lions. Ooh, baby. The Lions look good, don't they? We're talking about 2-4 for the Chiefs to start the season. Maybe 1-5. Like, that's not off the table. And you look at how good the Chargers are this year. I don't think, like, if you're telling me the Chiefs start 1-5, which is possible, do the Chargers lose 5 games all year? I don't know that the answer is yes. I think the Chargers might be one of those 12, 13 win type of teams this year. So you've put yourself so far behind, even at 2-4, that I think the Chiefs are actually in a lot of trouble. And the lack of a run game is very troubling, even with those receivers back. There's no guarantee that Rashee Rice just steps in the door in week 7 and balls out like he was pre-injury last year or anything. Xavier Worthy, we don't know how healthy he is. He's missed a couple weeks now. I just think their whole team right now is just, hey, Patrick, please go save us. And that's not a great long-term recipe for the NFL. I look at the Chiefs. I think they're going to be a team nobody wants to play late in the season. If they do get into playoffs, obviously they can make a run. But I wonder they're just digging too deep of a hole. I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble right now if they don't beat the Ravens on Sunday. And I honestly don't think they are going to beat the Ravens on Sunday.
I'm looking down here at my phone here because I'm Googling a story from earlier today that I know had come across my phone. And it's pretty much Mahomes saying what you have said and what Charles has pushed back against. And that is, when Rashee Rice, who is back in the building, when Rice is back and when they're totally healthy again, when Xavier Worthy is back to being his old self, our offense is going to be fine. Like, don't worry about it, guys. We will be fine. But that remains to be seen. If it actually does happen. I'm with you. You don't want to be 1-3. And as nuts as this sounds, if there's a defense to get good against, it's the Ravens. Yes, I said
crazy,
that.
Right?
And I'm not taking shots, but the Ravens have given up as many yards as any defense in the NFL. No defense has given up more yards than the Baltimore Ravens, and they're without Madubuike, who's already been ruled out for this week, and John Harbaugh is not going to give us any details, which sounds ominous. He says he'll give more details when he's allowed to give more details. He's the head coach. You would think he'd be allowed to give more details. So that doesn't sound good. I do think the Chiefs will turn it around, but I think this sounds absurd. I think this could be like a 5, 6, 7 loss Kansas City team that's potentially a wild card. The team that's really I'm worried about is the Houston Texans because their schedule does not get any easier. I think they beat the Titans this week. I think. Like I'm not even saying that confidently. They're clearly a better team top to bottom than the Tennessee Titans, but we haven't really seen it from the Texans, have we? Next week, they get the Ravens, then the bye. Then they got to get Seattle, San Francisco, Denver. Ooh. Like the schedule does not set up well for them at all. And the division is better than any of us thought it would be. The Jaguars are 2-1. The Colts are undefeated. They're 3-0. The Colts look like a playoff team. The Texans and the Bucs kind of have some similarities here. Bucs certainly have the longer playoff stretch, 5 consecutive years, but we kind of view both as, hey, they're a good team in a bad division. Like the Texans, they're good in a bad division. I don't know how good they are like come playoff time, but they've got CJ, so just get them in. Now you look at the division and you say Indianapolis is the best team in this division, and if Houston, you don't turn it around, CJ doesn't play better. Like there is no, we'll figure it out in January. They got to figure it out in September. So for me, that's the team where I'm like, ugh, I don't know.
And it's not just where they are in the standings or anything. When you watch this team, their offense is broken. Like we've talked about that. I put that at the feet of the Texans organization and not CJ Stroud. It's perfectly reasonable to argue otherwise, and CJ's just struggling. But I look at that as this Texans team is putting nothing around CJ Stroud. That offensive line is just, it doesn't allow for a functional offense. Their entire offense last week was basically Nico Collins for 150-yard play because Nico Collins is awesome. And pretty much everybody else on that offense other than Stroud and Collins is not very good. So you just are like, okay, if you're going to fix, and you talked about the schedule, there ain't many wins, easy wins. Like you better beat the Titans this week because otherwise you're look 0-7. Like, is that possible? Like, yeah, it kind of is because I don't know how they fix this offensive line. I don't know how they fix this running game. These are things that I don't think they have the horses to fix this stuff. So yeah, I'm with you on the Texans. I was down on them before the season, did not pick them to make the playoffs or to win that division. I didn't think they'd be this bad. I really didn't. I thought it would be one of those 9-8, kind of disappointing. We're looking down the barrel of a lot worse than that for the Texans. And especially if you lose to Tennessee, it is just a 5-alarm fire at that point. You're not coming back from 0-4, especially with the offensive issues.
We agree they're not losing to Tennessee, right?
I don't think so. But the same thing where I should be like, of course the Texans are going to win. They're survivor pool. Yeah, that's my pick. I'm like, I think the Texans beat the Titans, but I don't necessarily know. Like that's where the Texans are right now. It's not good.
All right, let's get to Thursday Night Football. Week 4 is in the NFC West to open things up here on Prime Video. The game is in Arizona. The big injury here, look, Nick Bosa is a big injury, and Brock Purdy may get back. He's on the practice field today, expected to be limited as we're sitting here recording on a Wednesday. But this is It's fascinating in the NFC West because these two teams, they're 2-1. They've both lost to the 49ers. Connor is out. I'm sorry. Did I say Seahawks 49ers? It's Seahawks Cardinals, obviously, or Cardinals Seahawks here. But they've both lost to the 49ers. This blew me away. I didn't realize this, Frank. Kyler Murray has lost 7 straight to the Seahawks. That's one of them that had totally escaped me. He's beaten both the Rams and the Niners multiple times since he last beat the Seahawks Week 7 of 2020. He is 2-8 career against Seattle, and the Cardinals have not won a home game against the Seahawks with a full stadium worth of fans, because we're going to throw the COVID game out, since 2012. Like, I did not realize it was that much dominance.
Yeah, I didn't either. And, we talked about disappointing teams. And Andrew, today I was doing a radio hit and they asked me, who's your surprise team in the NFL this season? And I said the Colts are the obvious answer. You almost have to answer that. But I was like, I'm actually going to give you a different answer, though. I think it's the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think anybody's talking about this team yet. I think that changes after Thursday night. The Seahawks defense has been awesome so far. It is really, really good. Very underrated. We're talking top 5 defense. And I think other than week 1, which kind of threw us off the scent of maybe how good the Seahawks were because Darnold struggled. Nobody other than JSN caught any passes. Since then, they've scored 70 points in their last 2 games. They've looked really, really good. I think Torrey Horton's coming alive. JSN's awesome. Kenneth Walker has big playability. Charbonnet will be back this week, it sounds like. Darnold has played better. I think the Seahawks team is really good. With all of the 49ers injuries, I think the Seahawks are the team that is going to end up competing with the Rams for the division title. And I don't think anybody's talking about them yet, but playing on Amazon Prime Video on a Thursday night, if they could win that game, and I think they do, I think we're going to start talking about the Seahawks. I'm not that big of a believer in the Cardinals. They beat the Saints. They were outgained by the Saints. They beat the Panthers, but they were outgained by the Panthers at home. That's not great. Last week, they lose to a 49ers team that's just being held together by Scotch tape because of all their injuries. I don't believe in this Cardinals team. James Conner is a big loss for them. Just leadership-wise. Like he's a guy they all look to. Like he's kind of their tone setter. I like Trey Benson as a player, but he's not James Conner yet as far as in the locker room. I just like Seahawks. I think we're going to come out of this Thursday game again saying, oh, wow, the Seahawks might be a playoff team in the NFC and maybe a serious contender to win that division, even ahead of a Rams team I have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I already believe they're a playoff team. I truly do. But look, this could be the opposite for the Cardinals here. I mean, it could be their coming out party. 2021, Green Bay rolled in there as the only undefeated team remaining in the NFL. And guess what? The Cardinals surprised them. And the Cardinals pulled the upset and handed the Packers their very first loss. The next week, they played Kansas City without Rodgers because Rodgers tested positive for COVID. Jordan Love had to start that game. That was a long, long time ago. I believe it was his first career start. Either way, but to your point about the Seahawks here, they have two special teams touchdowns. They're the only team in the NFL that could say that. They're also, Frank, the only team in the NFL in the top 5 in both scoring offense and scoring defense. They are 5th on offense, 29.3 a game, and they are 2nd on scoring defense, only 15.7. The Cardinals are offensively challenged right now, and losing Connor, you're right, is huge, but Trey McBride, the offense runs through him. Marvin Harrison Jr. is apologizing to teammates now.
Yeah, when is Marvin Harrison
last week? Just not being himself. Like that's an odd one for me. How they have not found a way to unlock him through 2 weeks. Zay Jones already ruled out injuries here as we get towards Thursday. Not that, he's the biggest piece in their offense, but they're shorthanded is my point offensively here. This one is fun. It's maybe not the best game to start the week.
I like it. I like it, Andrew. Don't besmirch this game. This is a fun game in the NFC West.
I'm not. What I'm getting at is I'm saying it's not the headline game. Right? Yeah. To your point, it doesn't jump off the page as this is must-see TV, but it is a better game than most people think because this is a better division than most people think. If the Cardinals were my team in the offseason where people said, who's going to surprise you this year? I said, the Cardinals are going to surprise you. I think the Cardinals are legit. Right now, their record says they are. I'm not entirely sure that all the pieces add up, and I'm not entirely confident in their long-term viability. But this week, yeah, This week's fun. Also fun, trying to guess the value of franchises. So the Bears are selling off a share of the franchise. It's really minority owners and buying in and whatever. I won't bore you with everything. But what I can tell you is that minority share that was sold and now has been approved by the League Management Council, Frank values the Bears at $8.9 billion. And that's considering the fact that they are in a building that needs to be replaced. And they say they're going to go to Arlington Park. None of that is done yet. Soldier Field is obsolete, even with the renovations 20 years ago. It needs to be fixed. If the Bears are worth $8.9 billion, Frank, which team would be the most expensive franchise in the NFL? And you want to say the Cowboys, but what if I threw the Rams out there? What if I threw the New York Giants out there? I'll give you a crazy one. What if I gave you a team with a regional reach like the Seahawks potentially out there?
That stadium too.
The Green Bay Packers are community owned, your backyard. But what if they were one day to go for sale, which they can't, I know. Like, could they be
don't
worth
do that
more
to me, Andrew. Come on.
Than the 8.9
my Wisconsin people
billion
come after you. Yeah.
that the Bears are worth?
And these franchise values are just remarkable. Like almost $9 billion for the Bears. And it's so funny because we talk about these franchises like, oh, the Bears stink. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 40 years. It doesn't matter. The Cowboys haven't even been in the NFC Championship game since 1995. Yeah, they're worth more than $10 billion, according to Forbes. And honestly, I do think the answer to this question is the Cowboys. Like, they have consistently been, Forbes rates them as the most valuable franchise in sports. If we were in some alternate universe where all 32 teams were put up for sale at the same time and there were multiple buyers and whoever could pick and choose, we're just having kind of an auction for which team goes for the most money. I do think it's the Cowboys because their brand is just so strong. Like, make fun of Jerry Jones all you want, and I have, but there's no better businessman in the NFL. He has turned the Cowboys into an absolute business juggernaut. But I do kind of agree with you on the Rams because that stadium is unbelievable. And Stan Kroenke was just like, yeah, let me get out my checkbook and write a $6 billion check for you for that stadium. I gotcha. Like, SoFi is unbelievable. If you've never been there, go, because it's great.
It's great.
So maybe it's the Rams, maybe that market, everything like that. But I think my answer is the Cowboys. Are you going Rams or am I crazy?
So I'm going to go Cowboys because it's the easiest answer.
Yeah.
And I think any projection, any reasonable business writer in the last couple of years trying to figure this math out has said it would be the Dallas Cowboys. I do think the Rams, though, considering the size of the market and the stadium, the Cowboys have the stadium as well. I think they would be part of the conversation. You could have a regional team like the Dolphins in a massive media market with massive international marketing opportunities. Maybe, right? I don't think they would hit the Cowboys number or the Rams number. I think that the idea that the Seahawks are a regional team factors, much like the Broncos did when the Waltons and the Packers bought them. Yeah, but I think
same with the Broncos, the Chiefs a little bit too that way.
Same, right. If the Giants owned that stadium flat out, like the Rams do, the Chargers don't own it, the Rams own it. Rams built it. Chargers rent from the Rams. If the Giants own that flat out, and that stadium's aging, it's going to have to get replaced in, I don't know, 15 years, maybe a decade. Maybe it lasts longer. Then I think just because of the size of the New York market, they would be in the conversation. But yeah, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Real quick, let me give you one more though. Washington, a couple of years ago, sold for, I think it was $6 billion. And that was with the worst stadium in the NFL. The worst, absolute number 32 by a mile stadium in the NFL as far as locations.
There's no second.
There's no second. No, God, no. Once they get that stadium in DC, assuming that happens in the next few years, maybe Washington is the answer here. Because it doesn't matter how long it's been since you won a Super Bowl or whatnot. It's all about real estate. It's all about whether you own the stadium. Yeah. It's all about your location, your stadium. Washington's going to check every box. They went for $6 billion when they still were like, "Hey, it was a fixer upper, right? Like it was one of those home network shows where you're like, oh, you got to fix this thing up." Now Josh Harris done a great job fixing that franchise. Now that actually might be the sneaky answer here. That is Washington. If we do this same question in like 2029.
Yeah, the sneaky answer would have definitely been Washington in the 60s. And I'm dating myself. I was not alive in the 60s, but without the Panthers, without the Falcons, without the Bucks, without the Jaguars, they were the regional team. They were the team of the South. They were the team, everyone south of Baltimore all the way to Miami. If you want to go back and look at old NFL history, they had that much real estate. And you still hear, I mean, there are octogenarians in the Deep South who Washington is their favorite team, right? I mean, maybe that generation isn't even here. Maybe it's got to go back, 80 or 90-year-old fans where Washington was their favorite team because it was the team for anyone south of Baltimore. But those days are long gone. The NFL has expanded to 32, and they no longer have that reach. But they are one of the prime brands in the NFL, and they are on their comeback trail now with Josh Harris as the owner. We will come back tomorrow, by the way, our full Week 4 preview show, a tradition unlike any other. I'm going to get Charles to say that, even though last week he didn't get it. A tradition truly unlike any other. Frank, it's been fun today, my friend. For Frank Schwab, I'm Andrew Siciliano. Thank you for listening, liking, subscribing, watching Inside Coverage on Yahoo.